we have a special guest in the studio. And one day, Jay's going to learn how to work the sliders on the board so it's not so loud. But we have the mayor, the boss, the main guy, Dwayne Ariola from Taylor, the mayor. Welcome, Mayor. Man, I'm glad to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Been looking forward to this day since we moved our studios over here from Rockdale.
Right.
And don't Rockdalians, is that a word, Jay? Rockdalians? Would that work? Okay, look at that. I've had a lot of coffee this morning thinking about about today. Daniel Willey, who just won election in Rockdale, the city council, has agreed to come on and be a regular guest on the show, too, to talk about Rockdale, because we're all tied together,
Absolutely.
Mayor. And we were talking before we got on the air here. First of all, this is our first day, folks. Wave to the cameras. This is our first time that we have cameras in the studio to capture this. So we'll be posting these on our website that will actually be video casts. We're not going to be Joe Rogan level,
right.
But we're going to be Taylor and Rockdale level of importance.
There you go.
Thank you, first of all, for welcoming us to town.
Oh, I want to thank you for investing in Taylor.
Well,
and
look,
moving to you. I know you had some difficulties with permitting and signage and all that, so I appreciate you reaching out to us, and we've gotten through all of that.
We have, and we're here, and we're live, and we're local, and Taylor had a radio station here years and years ago, and everywhere I go, people mention something about the station, whether it be the color on the radio or a band that played in the studios and those sort of things. And that's exactly what we want to recreate here with KRXT. We want to bring back a local voice. We print, and I love the folks at the Taylor Press. I remember when it was the Taylor Daily Press.
Right.
That's a challenging business, and we brought them on board with us to help them, because I believe we're going to promote all of our area.
Absolutely.
But we're going to really promote, Taylor Ducks and the Rockdale Tigers and what small town still means. And your vision is to keep that small town feel right here in Taylor.
Absolutely. Born and raised here in Taylor, and in a future,
once a duck,
always a duck. But in future meetings with you, remind me to tell you a funny story about Julie Downs. And about Taylor radio station. We'll talk about it later.
Okay, I
had to giggle about it. Both of those.
I like that stuff. But as I've told people before, if you have memorabilia from the old station, bring it here. Bring it to us.
Right.
Over here at the McCrory Timberman Building. I want to build a display. To where the past was and where we're going today.
Absolutely.
All this stuff that we have in here is the best we could find for the job.
Yep.
Kind of like Taylor, you got the best of the best involved everywhere in this community. So what do you want to talk about today on your inaugural visit?
Well, I think just the recent news with Park 79.
Okay.
Not opening up, but the ribbon cutting last week.
And describe what that project is for those that don't know.
So if you know where Clark Bus Company is at the top of the hill.
Up on 2nd Street?
Up on 2nd.
Yep.
Just to the north of them. They're putting in a new road they are putting it in a new road, and it's going to be 3 buildings, all about 100,000 square feet per building. One's 99, one's a little over 100K, the other one's a little bit more over. It's 3 buildings. And it's a tremendous investment. They approached us a couple of years ago about investing, and we just didn't have the funds to help them. They said, hey, so they approached us with a PID, and it's basically them funding it within the city limits. So it's a huge investment on their part, and then they'll slowly get paid back, but they get paid back from their renters or the people that they actually purchased to. But what's good about it is it's going to bring jobs, it's going to bring tax revenue to the city without bringing additional heads, i.e. students, to the ISD. ISD will gain the revenues from all this tax revenue, but it's not going to be a burden on them, so that they'll be able to use this revenue for more teachers, more facilities, purchase of land. So do we want more heads? Absolutely. But that's what the housing developments are. That's what the apartment developments are. So people are a little bit confused when I posted that. So what are you talking about? We want students. I'm like, I know that, but this property is all revenue that they don't have to worry about that.
And Daniel and I have gotten into this topic and will continue to remind people about this. It is cheaper for a business rooftop on the city than it is a residential rooftop, because they don't require as much service.
Correct.
And they give more back. So a business costs, 80-something cents per thousand, and a home actually costs over $1 and change in services provided by the city, for all the services that we do. So business rooftops are just as important as residential.
Absolutely.
Because we want to maintain, and as we talk about with Tia, we want you to live here, we want you to work here, we want you to shop here, and we want you to restaurant and entertain yourself here.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to make that horrific drive into Austin.
Yeah.
Same thing for Rockdale. And, we're all connected. 79 connects us all.
It does.
We talk about the 79 corridor report from Round Rock to beyond Rockdale. This is where it's happening.
That's right.
Right?
We're all affected. So that's what I try and tell people. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's your show. I'm just here, the worst host in America.
I just recently lost my father in January, but for 65 years he was in the car business. He worked at Henry Chevrolet, Don Hewlett.
I knew your father.
Yeah. So, but for 65 years he would commute to Austin because unless you were a farmer or worked at one of the small local companies, all the work was in Austin. So our biggest export was our citizens. So with 3349, which is the overpass just to the west of the rail park, that was approved in 2018, I think. So that highway was coming. So once you have a huge highway like that it's going to get filled up. So we had to. We knew Hutto was coming over the horizon, Pflugerville was coming over the horizon, Manor was coming. And the property values, once 3349, that was just going to go up. So you can only farm so much corn.
That's right.
With the 1 hour commute to Austin in the morning for my father and the 1 hour commute after work, he rarely got to see me play sports and my brothers play sports. So now we had the opportunity to say, you know what, we don't want to be a residential community. We want to have jobs. So that was the real reason for doing Samsung, because the farmland was going to disappear between us and Hutto, us and Pflugerville, us and Manor. Let's go get some jobs for it. That's just the reality. So,
well, I will give, and I've been around here, 98. I moved back here, this area in Williamson County.
Right.
And the growth, first of all, I love Taylor. And I'll tell you a little inside story about, I looked forever. I had this dream of living upstairs in a loft and having my business offices downstairs and my car stuff and all that. And I looked at buildings around Taylor because this was where I wanted to be, because I just love small town, downtown kind of thing. And I was 3 years short. I waited 3 years too long to make that move because all the good buildings were gone at that time. So people knew it was coming but before they ever did it. And the revitalization that downtown Taylor's going through. And what irritates me, and one of the reasons why that Jim and I bought the station, is because the smaller towns that are rural, ag-related, a lot of, because we're ag-related, ourselves. But just the fact is that we're here and we're going to promote the good stuff.
Correct.
We're not going to be an Austin media company that comes up here and the first thing they want to do is bash the city.
Correct.
That development that's out there on 79 that everybody knows where it is, the cranes, we don't even have to talk about them, that they're there. That group, everybody wants to talk about, well, where's all the other jobs coming from?
Right.
And the words that I know I've heard you say before is hide and watch. Because they're coming. You know, the growth's going to happen.
Yep.
2026, Samsung is going to light the candle on that thing out there, and away we go.
And I'm glad you jogged my memory, because the special meeting, and we tried not to have a special meeting, but just due to legal time frames, we couldn't squeeze it in that last meeting. And I'll repeat what was stated at that meeting, and people can go watch it. And you don't have, it's only a 16-minute video, and just click on item number 4, and we talk for like 6 minutes. So just take 6 minutes out of your life, and you'll figure out exactly what we discussed.
Jay does that every morning with his news.
So that's perfect. But Park 79 allows us, we caught that big fish. And
yes, you did.
And thank God for them investing in us. And they are 100%, 110% invested. Just met with their president yesterday, and I'll post that later, from South Korea, the president of
Well,
Samsung
could you do me a
general.
favor? I don't mean to interrupt your story, but wouldn't this be cool if we call this the Samsung Studios? Doesn't that kind of rhyme and kind of anchor the thing?
On your port.
Well, no. I, if you can help me find the right person to get that answer, it would be awesome. But,
right.
But go ahead.
So back to these industries, we've got the big fish. Park 79 approaches us, and they're not. They didn't ask for a dime from us. Well, they did, and we said, "Hey, we can't." So all their revenues wasn't incentive.
Nothing was incentive driven. You didn't do a deal for them.
They saw the light at the end of the tunnel.
They knew
they're the first to the rodeo as far as having the industrial space. So with the agreement we agreed to last Thursday, that Samsung is going to have, again, this is on the video, so $2 billion in assets by the end of next year, meaning they're going to be testing their equipment. Whether or not they're actually making operational chips, as far as the tax benefit, that's what we care about. The equipment's on the ground. So that's what's great for us. No, sir.
Not
what
yet.
I'm saying is, by 2026,
it'll be here.
It will be here. So, yes.
The thing that you know Russ Bowles,
absolutely.
Precinct 4, and y'all work well together. The Russ Bowles, we're going to take a break here in just a minute, Jay. I got you.
You got to pay the bills.
Because got to pay the bills, and you got a call coming up.
Yes, sir.
Russ, he could almost teach chip building, because he explained to us what a 4, 6, a 4, and a 2, and all those things were better than any professor that I ever sat in any class in any university.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with him. I didn't think Russ was that smart, but he is.
Ridiculous. The technology is ridiculous.
You have a Navy cap on.
Yes, sir.
You were a submariner.
Yes, sir.
For how many years?
20 years. 85 to 2005.
I assume you're not claustrophobic.
No, not at all.
So tight spaces don't bother you whatsoever. Do you have a chance to go out to Samsung and tour their clean rooms and all that? Have you got a chance to see all that kind of stuff?
The clean room here is almost complete. I haven't toured this particular one, but the one in Austin for sure. And clean rooms in general. I'm in the pharmaceutical world, so yeah.
So you know all about that.
Yes, sir.
Well, look, you got to go. I know it's too short. See how time flies?
It does fly.
When
And we'll do this regularly, and
we're going to
give you more time. My customer called this meeting.
Well, look, you know what? We always take care of our customers.
That's right.
And speaking of taking care of our customers, you're listening to Hometown Highlights, the Mayor Dwayne Ariola edition, and we're excited to have him coming on board on a regular basis, along with Daniel Seguin. Don't forget, Daniel's our dear friend, too, from right here in the studios in downtown McCrory Timmerman Building. You're listening to 98.5 KRXT, Rockdale, Taylor, and Rockdale's growth is tied to Taylor's growth. The heartbeat, we are, of Milam, Lee, and Williamson County. So we'll be right back after this.